Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Whiskey Crusaders. We are lucky enough to have the Island Getaway Rum here with Richard and James. Of course, both fabulous. So I think you'll probably know both of them. Of course, Richard from his days back at the Crowded Barrel also now works for Island Getaway, and James was on here a couple years with Emma Con. He's, of course, the distiller there, making all sorts of this awesome rum. But I'll let you guys introduce yourselves, and we'll go from there. Whoever wants to go first, can go first.
Richard, please.
we both defer. Well, I've actually taken over as the brand ambassador for the Central Texas region with Island Getaway Rum since the mid-October, end of October. And we've been going out and introducing people to the master craft that James makes in copper pot stills with Louisiana molasses over at the Island Getaway Rum Distillery. It's been really fun. The first time I ever saw James was a Whiskey Tribe sort of collaboration. We were going over to do some scouting and some videotaping. The episode was never produced. I got quite upset. I really enjoy what James was doing. I walked in, I saw a copper pot still. I saw dunder in a large container. I saw Louisiana molasses. Molasses-made rum is something that I really enjoy, and I get in fights over it sometimes with the agricole people, but but that's okay.
Agricole has its place.
Absolutely. It's just different styles. They're both good, just different. Just like whiskey, there's all sorts of styles. They're all good. Well, for the most part. So, yeah. All right, James. Let's talk a little about you.
My name is James. I distill occasionally. So I'm one of the founders of Island Getaway Rum. We've been around for 8 years. Coming in March. I think March of our eighth year. We never do anything for our anniversaries because we're always busy. But yeah, I've been making rum for about 10 plus. And yeah, I obsess about spirits, obsess about beverage. I'm actually low-key researching how to make my own sodas. So
that's cool.
I am that's the whole thing. But yeah, so yeah, that's what we do here. Make rums, and occasionally I'll make a brandy, and I'm actually getting some beer distilled later this week. So I'm really excited.
That's cool. Is this for personal consumption, or do you think you guys will actually sell at some point, or just see it and experiment?
Opportunity came up. A brewery came by, and we get inquiries often from breweries to get rum casks.
Okay. That makes sense.
It's pretty rare, right? And the guy popped by. I was kind of chatting him up. I said, hey, if y'all ever have any beer you want to get rid of, just let me know. He's like, actually, we have the sour beer that we're not going to release. It's been barrel aging, and it just didn't got turned out. And I kind of been follow up with them on it. And I'm gonna get 5 barrels, so it'll be like 53-gallon barrels. So it will probably be private consumption. I don't know the final yield will be because I don't have all the ABVs, but yeah, I mean it's gonna be less than a barrel. But I'll probably distill it, see what I got, maybe buy a smaller cask, throw it in there for a while, and see what we get.
That's cool. That's always fun. But did you say you were making soda as well?
So yeah, I was cutting back a little bit of my alcohol intake, and I've always been a little bit obsessed with soda as a kid.
Okay.
Every time I would travel, I'd try different soda.
Heck yeah, the best.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I was laughing like, oh yeah, Verner's. My friends from Chicago was like, how do you know about Verner's? I was like, it's just one of those things. But I done a lot of botanical work with some other products I made, and I've started kind of really looking at it and thinking I have a vision for a direction I want to go with it. And I'm gonna start kind of distilling certain items to do essence extractions like wormwood and other things.
Ooh, fun.
And yeah, I don't know. We'll see. It might be crazier than good, but
sometimes it turns out awesome.
I'm gonna document all of it on my various social medias, and we'll see how.
Oh, very cool. That'll be cool. We have to check that out.
How about root beer?
What?
How about root beer?
What's funny is I do have sarsaparilla and sassafras,
Yeah.
I should just go ahead. I should take the easier route. I should just make root beer.
Those are delicious. I mean, I like all of those.
I do. I had a buckwheat honey root beer years and
okay.
years ago, and it was phenomenal. I didn't make it per se, but I would. I don't know. I'm just starting in like one little area. I'm gonna build this tiny still.
Yeah.
Because I was a biased. That's so funny. Someone listed a still. It was like a 2-liter still. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I could use this for like small tests.
Yeah.
And I found out it was like the same price new. I was like, oh, come on, people. And I was like, I have the materials needed to build like a 2-gallon still on site. So I'm like,
yeah,
why am I even bothering with this?
You have to make your own, sure.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you want. All right. Which one of these rums should we start with? And then I guess give us a little bit, and they said 8 years and a little bit of history and all that good stuff. Well, I don't know anything about you guys as far as that goes.
I got the white rum.
White rum? All right.
Yeah.
So I think white rum's always really good for the illustration of our history and why I make rum.
Okay.
Because I always find that white rum or clear products in general are the opportunity for distillers to show his craft. There's nowhere to hide, right? There's no sugar, there's no barrel, there's no time and cask. It is
right.
Yeah, it is the fermentation, it is the distillation. And what we have here is we have a medium body rum. So a lot of white rums that are produced inside the United States are going to be very, very light. And what we're going to have here is a medium body. So what it does for us is it gives us like higher vanillins, a little butterscotches. And that's all from the fermentation and distillation. There's nothing added to it.
Okay.
And so we only filter it. So it's all like more robust.
Definitely not thin to say the least. It's very viscous, unlike some, like you said, as general rum can be. This is not that rum.
Yeah, exactly. The good thing about it, though, is I used to have a version of this rum that was even bigger, like even heavier.
Oh, wow. Okay.
A lot heavier. Same flavor profile, very, very, but the issue you're running with it would dominate cocktails. So while I think for the barrel, the bigger is the better, right?
Okay, sure.
But when you're making like a mojito or like a daiquiri, 3-ingredient cocktails, you need a rum to be a partner, not dominant. So so this actually supports a cocktail really well without overpowering.
Okay.
So when I first made my first batch of rum, before I ever got my license, I didn't know what rum tasted like, and because I was drinking scotch. That's all I was drinking.
Wow. That's great.
When I started drinking, I went from not drinking to drinking scotch.
That's a good way. It's pretty much what I did, so I understand.
My first bottle was Lafroig 10.
Smart man. That was what made me fall in love with scotch. Was Lafroig 10 stuff. I was like, before I'd like Glenlivet, Glenfiddich, like whatever. But Lafroig 10, that was my world. That stuff was amazing.
I'm gonna say I think it was for me it was Bruno Haven 12 was probably really like the thing that made me really enjoy scotch. I mean, I like tons of scotches. I mean, obviously, right?
Yeah.
But that one to me had like a lot going on, right? But like a good balance, in my opinion. But yeah, so I made my rum, and I ate a rum, I should say, and I was like, "Is this what rum tastes like?" Like I just had no idea, and I went and bought some expensive rums.
Yeah,
and they were kind of sugary, which I didn't comprehend. Because I didn't know anything about the category, right? Nothing. Because I had been studying Scotch for 2 years. I had a notebook full of like 50 different Scotches I had tried and all this kind of stuff. And,
oh, geez, that's funny.
And so I was like really studying the barrel and the malt and blah blah blah. And so being further naive, I bought a bunch of Texas white rums.
Okay,
these are made by craftsmen. They'll be crafty, and they were very flat.
Okay.
And there are a couple that I could point out that weren't, but not too much. The one I really liked isn't even in business anymore. So
Oh, that's too bad.
But they did open up another distillery not too long ago, but their newer product isn't like nothing like their old product. So I'm not gonna mention it.
Okay.
But so I was very confused because like my first rum I made had a lot of character.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say it was great, Like no rum you make your first time is great.
Sure, sure.
I don't care what anyone says. And but it did pique my interest. And
Sure.
so I was like, well, if no one's making a lot of these great rum, so I might as well like, go for it myself. And yeah, I swear it took me a year and a half before I made good rum. And I didn't really realize how hard it was. And I thought like that was just distilling in general. And then what I've discovered over the years is that rum in general is just hard to nail, especially a white rum.
Yeah, because I mean, so you're using a pot still at that point, a little pot still.
I mean, a little keg still. I cobbled together.
Keg still, okay.
Yeah.
Because how hard is it to make the cuts on rum compared to like whiskey or something like that?
I can't speak whiskey too much. My distilling the beer this Thursday. I distilled whiskey like with my dad once or twice because he was making whiskey. Don't tell anyone. But I'm not an expert making whiskey by any means.
Okay.
So I know a lot about making brandy and gin and rum.
Okay, so compared to making those, is it cuts on that solely different or still fairly similar?
I find that great brandy has a really wide cut.
Okay.
I find at least the wines that I've distilled, I've found them to have really small heads and really deep hearts.
That's awesome.
Which is super interesting. I'm actually distilling brandy right now for a winery as a proofing brandy.
Very cool.
That's a whole story. It's odd. But yeah. So rum, I don't. So I had this conversation with the guys over at Andalusia, like
Thai and moose and stuff,
like 70 years ago. And
a long time ago.
Yeah, and my opinion is that whiskey tends to heads, and rum tends to tails.
Okay.
So I personally find heads very rough. Right? I mean, obviously, but maybe I'm just like weak.
No, they're meant to pretty much not drink, and they could kill you. So it's best not to drink those.
Well, I mean, so to me, that's more 4 shots. So it's like 4 shots is like the first, call it 5%.
Sure,
maybe less even. Then heads after that's going to be like rough, won't kill you, probably get you a headache, whatever. Now if you're putting 4 shots of stuff, you're just not cutting anything.
It's like, this is great.
But
one of my revelations recently was with going back this summer and trying Kasasha again and making a caipirinha. The funny thing is I never really had any new make when I had caipirinhas before and Kasasha rum before. It was on a cruise. And, I picked it because I knew they weren't going to substitute the rum for something else. You have Kasasha. So the entire cruise, I'm drinking caipirinhas.
Which are delicious.
Yeah, but after I ended up going back and making my own caipirinhas last summer, I found that I had a new tasting note in my head because of working at the distillery and trying stuff off of the still. That new make quality that's in Kasasha, it was already super evident, and I'm sitting there going, "This is off-putting now. It's really new makey, and I'm getting like new make whiskey type of notes coming from the Kasasha."
Yeah, we've reviewed 2 or 3 of those, and it is a very funky, interesting thing with them. I like it, but it's definitely a weird taste to get to, for sure.
Well, when you make spirits and you start tasting heads and tails and like kind of dissecting it, because like when I'm making the white rum, the vanillin character of it comes out really early. And then the kind of more buttery, like tacky notes come out real late. Riley, my assistant distiller, essentially, he loves it way early, and I love it way later. But they blend together really well. And then we try other people's products. You start tasting those things, and it's like even if they filter it, you can be like, oh, this cut's wrong, or and you see that more in craft. I mean, I think most big producers, I mean, they know what they're doing. They've been
Right. They've done it a few times at this
50,
point.
60
Yeah.
years, 100, 200, whatever years it is. And
Yeah.
they're like, yeah, like that's just a funk they have or something usually.
Sure.
But yeah.
Okay. I'll say hi to people in the chat. So a bunch of them are in here now. Say hi to David and Donnie.
EMC said no nerd stuff. So
yeah, well, you know. I mean, I'm pretty sure Emily likes the nerd stuff. Pretty confident she's a nerd last time I checked. So, you know. She might have been around for a while for all this stuff. So yeah, check out Whiskey Crusaders. Of course, check out Marty's channel as well. So all that good fun stuff. So thanks everybody for joining. Hopefully you guys have some of this in your glass as well.
What is JDSB?
See here. It's probably Jack Daniel's single barrel.
Oh, I disagree.
See, with Pepsi mixed with a local corn whiskey.
Oh no, I haven't. Well, I went to the Jack Daniel's distillery last year, and I got to try all the really cool additions, like the Frank Sinatra, all that kind of jazz.
Oh yeah, those are good. Yeah,
they're fine. Like for the price point, like yeah, I don't mind. I think the single barrel's good. I mean, they're all good. Like I wouldn't turn it down. Like if
sure.
But in a Coke, I don't know.
Yeah, well, I prefer obviously better things than with Coke. Obviously,
Richard's pulling out the dark rum over here, which I happen to agree.
That's usually where I go to next.
Yeah.
All right, finish this up and then we'll pour that one.
So speaking of Cokes, this to me is the best thing to put in a cola.
Okay.
Especially a dark rum, especially Coca-Cola, cherry Coke, even Cheerwine, which I just love Cheer. I love Cheerwine, mind you.
Okay, so what exactly is Cheerwine? Just so people, in case they don't know.
Okay, so first of all, it wasn't 2 hours of nerd stuff. It was just like, I'm reading the chat over here. It's like 30 minutes. Calm down. I can make it 2 hours. So Cheerwine, if you're not familiar, is a soda you can get out of the East Coast. Now they do have an edition bottled in Dublin, so you can actually get Cheerwine in Texas. Randall's will carry it. If you have a local bottle shop, I say bottle shop, I mean like just like somewhere that carries specialty sodas, bigger corner stores, not just like your standard like 7-Eleven, like maybe a probably owned corner store might have Cheerwine or some specialty soda.
Yeah, I bet Rocket Fizz has it.
Rocket Fizz probably does. Rocket Fizz usually carries like that stuff.
Yeah, they got all sorts of crazy stuff in there.
Well, I mean, Rocket Fizz will have like pickle flavor. Like, I mean, like,
and a lot of flavors you're like, oh, snot flavor. I'll get right on that. No. But, sure, there's clearly a market for it. Someone buys it.
But the way I describe Cheerwine is it's going to be like Coca-Cola with the cherry dialed up 2 or 3 notches. And that's kind of how I describe it, maybe less on the spice side. Anywho, so yeah, they're dark rum. When I made the dark rum, I kind of tasted a couple of dark rums. And I was just like, I'm unimpressed by this category. Just in general. And it's something that I've chewed on over the years. And Stephanie, our business partner and actually lead owner, she said, like we're like one of the few dark rum producers in the United States. So if you look at our category and you look at like dark rum as in a labeled dark rum, not like rum that is aged or barrel aged, something like that, which is interesting. And I never really thought about it because I just wanted to make it, delicious. So
what's the difference between a barrel aged and a dark rum?
So dark rum can have barrel influence, like ours has French oak. We use with from wine casks. So you're probably getting some stone fruits and stuff like that. Dark rums that are like labeled dark, you're gonna have like usually like molasses added, or like some kind of that kind of flavor. So some dark rums, it's just like molasses and sugar, sometimes vanilla. So we get a lot of our notes from the actual French oak. So I love French oak, and obviously the wine influence. And then we add a smidge of molasses, and that smidge is that molasses is the same molasses we use to make our white rum. Okay. Yeah. So you might notice some similar notes.
Mm-hmm.
I like the distiller's Coke that Fever Tree uses with this as well. That's a really nice, interesting flavor.
Could you repeat that, please?
The distiller's cola.
So,
yeah,
I've had it. I actually did a review on my TikTok, and it's like Copper Parrot, if you're interested. And I felt like it was a more subdued Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
So I guess that, I mean, it's nice because you do get the rum. You get to taste more of the rum.
Right.
Yeah, it was all right. I just drank it neat. I didn't like mix it. So I was I was just being obsessed with like analyzing the cola. Was what I was doing on that one.
Okay. Do you think it's best if you do mix it? Is Coca-Cola the best, or a different one like Pepsi or Dr. Pepper? Or
I'm a big Mexican Coke is the way to go.
Mexican Coke.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. No high fructose syrup. Gee, I wonder why we could get that in all of our sodas. That'd be great.
You know, when I come out with James Davidson's cola, it'll all be.
Yeah, there you go. Actually, that's one of the selling points on a lot of this product is there's a big revolution in Europe going on right now in terms of what's called dosage. That's adding sweetener or sugar back into rums. And I don't know whether it's true or not, but one of the customers at one of the liquor stores, I was listening to him be very upset with a major brand of spice rum and saying that it doesn't taste the same. He thinks they changed their formula. And if they did, it's probably to appease the European market.
That's weird. If they're that big, why don't they just have a European
release? Yeah.
That would make sense. Yeah, why screw with it? That seems foolish.
Yeah, because I know sometimes, because I know it's happened to that Fireball, is they had to ship a different formula out to Europe.
Really?
Because like one of the ingredients was not allowed in Europe or something.
So even Jack Daniel's in Australia has its own bottling at a lower proof, at 35%.
Yeah, I heard it was lower there than Jim Beam too. Weird.
Very interesting.
Okay. Didn't know that about Fireball. Not that I drink a tremendous amount of. I couldn't even tell you last night. Fireball. It's probably been 3 or 4 years in a hockey game mixed with Dr. Pepper because that's what they had. So it was good. It was cold.
Someone gave me 2 minis, like I don't know, years and years ago.
Yeah.
And I tried one because I'm gonna try it.
Sure.
And the other one's still in my liquor cabinet, just in a drawer.
Right. I still have my original bottle my brother gave me for my birthday, like in 2008. I still have that bottle of Fireball. That's way before everybody gave a crap about Fireball. He just bought it because it had a cool dragon on the front. So it's like, I found this for you. It's like, sure, why not?
I've been hearing older people saying, our Fireball was Goldschlager.
Yeah,
right.
Valid. That or Rumplemans or something.
Had gold flakes in it. Come on,
right? Way cool.
These days.
They still make it. I mean, I'm pretty sure they do at least. Anyway,
yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Ken hates it. Oh yeah, because so Ken's another YouTuber down there, Scott Down Under. So he hates that it's watered down to 35. I bet he does hate it.
I wonder why. There's got to be some regulation they're getting around or something.
Yeah. The plastic containers are also a shipping issue. It's the weight of shipping all that glass.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Wait, what do you mean?
Plastic containers are lighter than glass containers. So if you're shipping quantities,
it's in plastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. That messes things up. Yeah, that was one of the big arguments I heard with Glendronach back when they were bought out by Brown Foreman. They bought Glendronach and they dropped the non-chill filter statement.
Right.
Most of it is how do you get to a larger market? How do you get to the Southern Asian market? How do you get? And they've got the clout and the lawyers and the distribution to get further. So how do you get to the last 5% of the world that doesn't have 40% ABV? And
Sad but true. Yeah, I know. That's what they did. Somebody asked them. I don't remember what YouTuber asked them about. Oh, it tastes the same.
I doubt it does.
Sure, it does. No, I'm a big fan of the 12-year.
Yeah, the 12 year is great.
I think the fifth. It's funny because like I have an argument with a lot of people about age statements and Scotch and stuff. And I've met people who are all like, I drink nothing under 18 years or whatever. And I'm like, have you ever had the 15-year Glendronach and then had the 18?
Yeah.
There is a difference. It's not huge.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's because that's the only it's because most Scotch brands, they switch the cask every denominated year, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
so people are like, oh my god, the 21-year-old the Balvenie is so amazing. I'm like, yeah, Portwood's delicious. And
Right.
I mean, I love it. It's $400 or whatever it is, but it's
Whatever it's up to now, yeah.
But like it's like, did you ever have the Age of Discovery by
The Glenfiddich?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like bourbon. Like,
It's
I mean, it's more malty, but like
Yeah.
it's like it's just like 19 years of bourbon cask. I'm like, cool
Yeah.
story. Like it, and to me, it's kind of like they're telling on themselves. Like it was like, okay, this is good, but I would pay $109 for it.
Yeah, they made a bourbon cask and they made a Madeira cask version of it as well.
Yeah.
Also, that was one of the lessons that I learned when I went to Jamaica and visited Appleton. Is more time in a barrel. It does not equate in my preference and my palate. Does not equate to better whiskey. I was looking at a 21-year-old Appleton. It was my birthday, and one of the other employees at the store that I was working at, they ended up buying the 21-year-old and gave me a sample of it. And it's like, I'm so glad I didn't spend the money on the 21-year-old because I honestly prefer the 3 to 12-year-old. And even in Scotch, right now the online whiskey awards are giving all of the nods to Aaron, the 10-year-old. So it's not always older that's better. There are some sweet spots at different age points depending.
Absolutely. I mean,
that's why I also prefer the 12-year Glendronach, because the 12-year is actually a bourbon and sherry cask, and 15 is all sherry, and so is the 18.
Right.
So with the 12-year, you do get a little more flavor. You get a more little change of flavor. Like there's more shades of it as opposed to being all sherry. And I just feel like, it's not always like more barreling, different barrels are better, but it's usually a good mark if you have more than one cask in the blend. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and that's all subjective to taste, whatever, and sometimes it's subjective to mood. Yeah. Which one you want with the bourbon cask or sherry cask or port or whatever. Yeah. So an age statement is just different, not necessarily
affordability in the equation as well. What's affordable? What can you
that's
afford?
True.
And are you going to go back and get another one, or are you just buying one? And okay, I had that experience. Now on to the next adventure. And I think that's where we're doing really well. We got a price point that people are coming back, and we've got a craft product that people are enjoying. What do you think next, James?
We did coconut, I guess.
Coconut next. The most divisive of the bunch.
Divisive?
Well, coconut's one of those love it, hate it type of flavors, especially.
I love coconut, so I'm excited because I think last time
in the bag.
Yeah.
No, we got this one. I like it. Yeah. I think it was pineapples and we didn't have last time. I think it's the only one we did the last time we did this. So, but I'm excited. I love coconut, especially a really good coconut rum. To me, is just fantastic.
It's interesting because for years I had no intention of making coconut rum. I told you all this last time, and it's like because I was very coming from my Scotch background, I was very like barrel this, dark that, all kind of jazz, and people kept asking, and so I said, all right, I'll buy some coconut bottles. And to me, they're all just like very sugary, like, and if you're not aware, I'm sure you are, but anyone listening not aware, is like sugar pushes down your flavor profile. So if you make something that's flavorful and dump a bunch of sugar into it, you actually lose a lot of your flavor because the sugar masks your flavor.
Okay.
So like whenever I make products, like I either have very little or no sugar because I work so hard to make this flavor profile.
Sure.
Then go remove them. So the coconut, pineapple, and orange all have no sugar added. So
nice.
So it's nice. It's got like a kind of like a roundness to it, and the
Mhm.
nose is soft because in general, coconut's a soft flavor.
Right.
When we try other flavors, it'll be much more aromatic, but this is like more soft. It's like round. I would say it's like smelling a bunny or something.
It reminds me of like an almond joy, as far as like the faintness you get, as far as like if you just nose candy, because I'm weird. It's the things we do in this world. We smell everything because that's what we do.
That's what I do.
With the cold weather, I've been mixing this one a lot with hot chocolate. And
Oh, but that's good.
yeah, the pitch at the tasting table is sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. It's, it's the adult nouns. Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. Oh, what's the other thing? Coconut oil. That's the other thing that reminds me too of like coconut oil.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than like you said, like a lot of brands of coconut, it is unbelievably like drinking sugar coconut water, essentially. And it's so viscous on it because there's so much damn sugar in there. Good luck reopening it.
Gotta, dude, I know exactly what you're talking
about. The top on the damn thing is stuck.
I've had dried sugar. Like you're like the crack.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, I don't think that's going to be a problem with this one at all. So that's a plus.
Oh my god, it's so funny because I've had I was tasting the Total Wine like over the Christmas period because we're very active in that in the fourth quarter, and I had someone tell me, she's like, yeah, this is great, but I want the sugar, and she just went and bought whatever sugary brand she likes. That's okay,
Yeah.
It's one of those things that like if you're a make your own cocktail, I think this is the way to go. If you have, a lot of people don't maybe have simple syrup or whatever. I've had someone tell me one time the best rum, the rum they absolutely love is Bacardi Oak Heart. And I'm not talking trash about a lot of brands, but it's dog shit. It's so bad.
Yeah.
And it's so bad. And I'm like, look,
I might have gotten a free ball from my sister-in-law years ago. I think maybe there's a half ounce out of it.
I tried to figure out what to do with Kraken to mix it, and I couldn't figure out a way of mixing Kraken, even at the higher proof Kraken.
Yeah.
So I was hoping that it had less sugar.
Yeah.
No, it's sugary. Well, it's very Kraken's very black peppery. So to me, it's like I don't consider it a spiced rum. It's just like its own thing. It's like and this is the conversation I have with a lot of people is like, what's spiced rum? What's dark rum? What's black rum? And none of these are real categories. Like there's no overarching rum ministry. There's no Scotch has like the Scotch Association or whatever, and bourbon has their standards and laws, but like rum is just kind of like, let's call it platinum. Like it's just like
right.
Let's call it whatever,
Especially in the U.S. and in America.
Yeah, was it Matazul, the Cuban rum? I think they call it platinum. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. Before I got my license, my dad and I were driving my still from his barn. So I bought it like a year before he got a license. So I put my dad's barn, still crated up, didn't use it or anything. And we were driving it down, and he's like, all right, we're driving, we're taking back roads because that's no wind. And he's like, well, I was talking to Jane, which is like his best friend. And she's like, she thought like a really good name for your clear product would be platinum. And he started, and before he could say anything, I was like, that's dumb.
That's dumb.
I hate it. I was like, I want the categories I use to mean something. I wanted to actually convey what we're making and not just I think I'm fancy. He got real quiet, and I was like, you liked it, didn't you? He's like, it's fine. And there's platinum, crystal you will see in the Caribbean. But it's like, to me, white, it's like white, clear, and silver are the ones you'll see most often in the Caribbean. Now you'll see Blanco, right? You'll see that like kind of the more Spanish side.
Sure.
But it's white, obviously.
Yeah.
And it's always kind of one of those things where you're like, I think proof's in the pudding, right? Like, does it taste good?
That's valid. Doesn't matter what you call it, as long as it tastes good. It's really
there's a distillery that I want to visit, and I haven't had their product. I heard decent things about them. I think I've heard they're good people more than anything.
Okay.
But their white rum's called Chandelier.
Okay. That makes you just think they're going to the champagne room at the back of the club, man.
It's
something else.
It's one of those things where you're like, I've heard you're good people.
That's wow.
That being said, like, I'm all for a goofy name. Like,
sure.
I had a joke. I was like, I'm gonna call it Silver Spoon, or just like Alabaster, whatever. Like, there's a distillery in Florida called Wicked Dolphin, and
that's cool. I like that.
I like their stuff, honestly.
Yeah,
they make cool stuff, and they're just out there doing it. Like, and dolphins kind of bastards anyway, so.
That's awesome.
I'm not allowed to talk about sci-fi tonight, so I guess I'll crap on dolphins.
Oh, there you go. Crap on.
That's whatever. I don't care. But whatever you want to talk about, I'm entertained either way.
Yeah, but so we're talking about like additives, right? And years and years ago, I was doing an interview for like an online magazine. They were trying to come out with someone said spiced. Yeah, the Oak Heart was like a spiced rum. I think they for Bacardi. It doesn't exist anymore. Good. Anyway, yeah, I did a magazine article, and they asked me a question like, "What do you think of the like labeling controversy in rum or something like that?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" Like, we have been open like maybe 8 months. Like, we're brand spanking new,
Oh, jeez.
And I don't read liquor.com just because their articles are nonsense. And like they did like top 3 dark rums, and one was like Captain Morgan's. I was like,
God, no.
I was just like, I'm gonna delete your website somehow. And it was just like,
yeah, it's not possible for that.
I was just I was so mad. Anyway, so I didn't know what she was talking about, and so she sent me a link of article, and it was just like the head blender of like Foursquare was like, we don't add any sugar to anything, and people add sugar to everything. You want different labeling, and that's fine. But I was like, here's the deal. I've been a legal distiller for 8 months, and I'm not going to say anything for or against one of the like 4th generation master blenders for one of the biggest distillery in the freaking
sure, right?
Like, I'm just like, what am I going to do? Like, even now, I mean, I have a lot of experience. I think I'm good at what I do, and I have a lot of expertise. I could live 10 lifetimes and not reach that level of expertise. And so who am I to be like, he's wrong or right? A lot of people can argue all day long about how things should be labeled. Like, we've all had wrong. We're like, Jesus Christ, sweet.
Yeah. Right.
What brand is it? Bamboo?
Oh, yeah. Super sweet stuff. Yeah. Not bad. It's just super sweet.
Yeah. No. So I actually bought one of their, I did a spiced rum tasting in-house for someone where I came and brought spiced rums. We talked about spiced rum and
that's cool.
All this kind of stuff. Yeah, it's fun. And I have a good time. I get half drunk and tell hilarious jokes for 3 hours. It's a sweet gig if I can get it. And I brought Bamboo because I was like, well, it's not labeled spiced rum, but like they have additives, and I swear to God, it tasted like Bananas Foster's. Yeah. So Jen,
so the same thing.
It tastes like Banana Foster's, like straight up. Yeah. And everyone was like, "Oh, I could see a use for this," and it was so sweet. And it gets back to the concept of like, I myself I've gone through tons of bottles of different rums like that.
Yeah.
And last time I drove through Florida, I bought like a case of rums. I was driving back with a van I bought, so I just like filled back my van with like rums and other things, and some were just sweet. And so I take a very super sweet rum and just pour it over an ice cube. It's practically a cocktail already.
Right.
And
valid.
Okay, you don't always have to be super neat. You don't always have to go like hard one direction, hard the other. Like, sometimes you want to sit down and watch Girls Next Door and just hang out.
So have you had, I guess George was asking, anybody had the 16-year blue chair? You tried that at all?
I have not tried a
I
16
didn't
year
even
blue
know they
cherry.
did a 16.
I didn't know that either. I've had the regular stuff, but not that one. That sounds awesome.
I'm only semi familiar with some of their flavors, and I have never tried anything beyond that.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't touched it at all, so I would have no way of inputting on Kenny Chesney's products.
Right. I mean, I know the ones I've had. I think actually was one of their ones I have is the coconut one. I think actually.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. I know they had a tasting up at Goody. I don't know. It was probably 2 or 3 years ago at least. It's like, I don't know, $17, whatever it was. It's like, yeah, sure. It's nice for cocktails. It's a special edition 16. Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. But he's right. Yeah, that Bumbu is at 35%. I forgot about that. It's a lower proof.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even remember that.
Yeah.
So I would say
that's one of those ones that in Europe is getting bumped off the rum aisle. I'm actually seeing the specs locally has separated flavored rum from spiced rum from the remainder of rum.
You know what? You're right. They have done that. I forgot about it. That's a good point.
It's like got to be a big enough store, though.
Yeah, that's valid. Yeah.
A lot of stores will have like a rum section that's like, here's our old Bacardis, and here's all the so-and-so. Here's the 5 other ones we have.
Sure.
And the other side of it,
like you gotta do so much in a small store.
I recently talked to a bar manager that says rum has fallen off of her bar almost entirely. All she has is Bacardi, and trying to convince her that we're a good product. So I actually bumped into her in the liquor store today.
It's always kind of weird, right? Because like the bars can run what they run, and I think a lot of bars will just have a bottle of everything, right? A bar will have a bottle of white, a bottle of spiced, and they might not even have cocktails that have those in there.
Right.
Look at the odd customers like, I want a spiced rum and Coke, or I want a whatever.
Yeah.
And those have that just to have it, so they have that in there.
Sure.
But on their menu, maybe none of their menu items are actually rum based, so they may not go through or not. Which is interesting. One I would do want to say about the 16-year, not blue cherry, because I don't know the details of that. But the age statements in rums can be very misleading.
Yes.
And I, again, not speak about blue cherry whatsoever. I don't know the product. I don't know what they did or didn't do. But a lot of rums, a quote 4-year-old rum may have a 4-year-old rum blended into it. And sometimes it's the oldest rum, not the youngest, as opposed to Scotch, which is the opposite.
Right.
And so if you're buying a product, I always just say, like, be very aware of that fact and don't let that persuade you to buy something because they told you it's 16 years or 10 years.
Yeah, because I know of a brand that's a 23-year that's got very little 23 in it that is quite famous and quite familiar with doing such things.
Solera.
Yes, that too is on there.
It is interesting. It's an interesting concept.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know. Have you ever seen a book? So you'll see a phrase sometimes called slow aged.
Okay. What does that mean?
I can't remember the product. And if I did, I probably shouldn't say it anyway. It was a particular rum. I can't remember what it is, but it's like, it says like slow aged 10 years. And technically slow aged is not an age statement. It's a marketing term.
Yeah, you got it. It was like, isn't aging all days aged the same last time I checked?
But hey, these days are longer.
Recipe number 7.
Yeah, so, there you go.
It's one of the things, like, it's honestly like it's just ridiculous. And if it's not clear, I don't really buy into age statements. Like in general, like I don't have to have an age blah 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 year product to enjoy.
Sure.
I love buying craft products. Guess what? Craft distilleries aren't 20 years old, 30 years old, right? So like I love a lot of younger products. But if you're going to say so and so age, like it's just got to be clear.
Yeah, like Joe Jim says, Foursquare is one of the few that actually it really is 12 or 14 that actually is that and follows that rule. But like I said, most of them do not.
Yeah. And that's where a lot of them are trying to protect their regions and their styles and come up with definitions. And
I don't blame them. I'd want to protect my own product too. I mean,
The problem is historically with the heritage, a lot of the rum trade goes around the Atlantic, and a lot of it goes back to the old world countries where they've got products being brought in that has been rebatched, re-aged, additional aging, additional finishing, depending on the country and the producer. And it just muddies up all the water.
Sure.
So whenever somebody has a clear statement on this is rum, it's like, here's the exception.
It's like, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm in favor of better categorization of rum.
Yeah.
So for example,
being transparent, I think that would be, it's just helpful as a consumer. It's like, oh, I mean, if you want to pose on it, that's fine. Just tell me what's in the damn thing.
I think that's the responsibility of the brand as well, to be a little bit more transparent of what they're doing, and not relying on a giant industry to come in and label. I like what the Texas Whiskey Association did, the Texas Whiskey Trail, coming up with, okay, you're honest about what it is that you are doing, and the product that you are making, you're doing it from fermentation to bottling and labeling in your own facility. I think that's probably a better way. If self-marketing is going to win the show, or some expert certification can also be purchased. There are people who are trying to get onto Tequila Matchmaker by throwing money at them.
Yeah.
And just tell them our product is additive free too.
Great.
And it's I mean, it's just one of those things too where there's no level of certification is ever going to work. It's all business, right? But the bummer part for me as a craft guy is it distorts the products I sell or my ability to sell them.
Right.
So,
Trues, yeah.
Yeah, I'm in a store. I'm saying, hey, here's my coconut rum. Oh, it's too sweet for me. And, and they don't even like look at me because I'm like, hey, they've had that, or rum is sweet, or rum is low class, or whatever, because they've only had name a thing. It's a bummer. I don't know if labeling would ever really fix it, because when it comes down to it, is the only people really reading labels are people who are informed customers already.
Yeah,
right.
That's fine. It's kind of like, so I don't know. I mean, I'm all for it, honestly, but the real world effect, I'm not so convinced.
I think that's why we're here, to tell better stories.
Yeah. Okay, Emily's gone, so it's time to talk about Star Trek.
What do you want to talk about? The orange rum.
All right.
Yes.
That's a good thing for plastic. Hey, speaking of, what's the price point on all these two if people want to go find them at the store?
$18 to $20 in most stores that I'm seeing.
Super reasonable.
18 being, like $17.99. Our white rum in one place was $17.49.
Nice.
So, good price point. All of the flavors that we're tasting are 40% ABV, which is also unusual.
Yeah, usually they're way lower. Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, so 35 is the better ones are usually at 35, but the most popular ones are sitting at 21. So you need to buy 2 bottles to get the same amount of alcohol, and you have to wade through all of that sugar, which is why those bottles disappear so quickly.
Makes sense. So every one of your products is at 40?
Yes.
Yep.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's really nice that they're at that high. I do love higher proof on rum in general, but the fact that even your flavor is higher is really nice.
James, I'm thinking Valencia oranges now. For some reason, it's not navel oranges because
I think you're right, Richard. That seems very accurate, actually.
Going back to last week.
You have a better nose than I do. All right. So Jim says Star Trek spirits, rum and ale, rye. Okay, so this is the problem I've had is I've seen spirits companies license Star Trek name and come out with like 10-4. I've seen 10-4 vodka. Every once in a while, I'll see a rum and ale that's like a really crappy like pale ale. They dyed blue. So I don't know, man. I would rather make the Tranja.
Ah.
Or,
Yes.
yeah, or so I made an espresso cacao, Vietnamese cinnamon, kind of like flavored rum, infused rum, and I wanted to call it Ractigino, but Steph was like, "That's way too many letters," and it's just like, and I was like, that's Cleon is not always being going for. People can't pronounce English, and so
yeah, valid.
So it's fair. So yeah, the orange rum. It's really great. It's one of those things that is like that's like Stephanie's idea to like tackle orange, which is not traditionally going to be a flavor you think of with rum. But we went for it, and what we really found is that it's a great triple sec replacement. It's a great replacement for like Grand Marnier, other ones because those are all very sweet.
Sure.
And when you add the low no sugar added like products, you actually get a brighter cocktail. So like margaritas are sweet already. So if you add this instead of the triple sec, you actually get a brighter margarita because the lack of sugar opens up the cocktail. So it works really well.
I might try this in an old fashioned. Replace the Grangala with this. That might be entertaining.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Bruno Hoppen has been using Klingon sounding names for their. Dude, yeah.
Well, that's valid.
Was it Brutalik, whatever. Gaelic. Yeah. So you're telling me Gaelic is just Klingon with like you just skip a syllable here and there.
Sounds about right. What's the difference? So they wouldn't know anyway.
Yeah, I don't know any Gaelic. So that being said, I feel like Cleon's like a lot of hard K's. Like he's got a lot of hard K's in Leon, right? It's like they just found a lot of Russian words and like removed.
I try and do that when I'm pronouncing Scottish names. Loman, Bunahaben.
There's been a lot. Yeah, but it's the same.
Just get a little more phlegm in there while you're
exactly.
Talking.
Yeah. Also, it seems like in there's like bergamot in there a little bit of blood orange as well.
It comes out a little floral. So it's one of those things. There's still a balance to it. I have an issue with I like to have balance, or I like to have things that like have a little more depth than just like a single flavor note. Even if it is more of a utility product.
Have you ever had Italicus at all? You ever tried that? Yeah, it's a liqueur. This kind of reminds me of this with that and some
Italicus
bubble water would be amazing.
Italicus.
Yeah, it's an Italian liqueur.
Oh, I just found something about hip bones. Okay.
No, definitely not a hip bone.
I think I'm going to be doing red sangrias with this and boosting the.
That could be fun.
You got the orange, all the fresh fruit. Bowl at the liquor store, just bringing people over and adding some orange rum. I think that might be great.
That would be great.
That's a cool bottle. Ilias.
Yeah, it's a really cool bottle. But yeah, I think that would be spectacular. I'm going to be playing with this stuff and experimenting later.
Let me know.
Yeah, actually, that's one of the things that I really like people doing is experimenting with our rum, showing us what they can do with our rum, especially in the craft cocktail side of it. With that zero added sugar, we're not the experts. We want you to be the experts. We want you to show us what you're doing, and maybe show us you picking up one of the bottles at the liquor store and what you come up with, because all of the tiki culture and it's all a bunch of lies. I tell everybody it's just rum and fruit punch. It's like, make your own.
You're not wrong. This is true.
Even going all the way back to the beginning, they were hiding their recipes from each other.
Right.
Trader Vic's and the Beachcombers and all those people. And then it was just all stolen by all of the Polynesian, Hawaiian, Chinese restaurants.
Sure.
Yeah, then it turned into like really weird things with grenadine.
I mean, it's funny because they're all very serious.
Yeah.
Like, it's like there's like the tiki people who are like, hey, we're just having fun, wearing fun dresses and getting drunk, and then there's like the tiki people who are like, no, this is how it's done. It's the same kind of people with chili, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like, your chili have beans? How dare you even ask that question? You know, it's like, okay, guys, let's calm down for a second here.
It's got red kidney beans, by the way. I made it yesterday.
I'm not gonna weigh in on that. I'm just saying people get very serious about it. People get very serious.
I'll fight you for my chili.
Dude, I'm too. I have a good friend of mine who's very he enters barbecue competitions and stuff, and he's got like, you know, I let him do that.
That reminds me, Andalusia's doing a chili cook-off pretty soon.
At the place? That's nice.
Yeah, it's probably on the weekend while I'm working. It's usually how that stuff works.
Dude, I am driving out there.
Yeah.
I think Donald's right here with this comment. It says tea culture, so wine cocktails for retired dentists who partake in swinging of the retirement compound in Florida.
Okay, so I don't think there's not. I was at a tiki event, and it was like a private bar someone had built, a really elaborate bar, and we were doing this. We're tasting our product, you know, just meeting everyone, just kind of shooting shit. They started making me cocktails. We're all hanging out, and we're watching like Hard Ticket to Hawaii, which if you're not familiar with it, it's like classic, stupid Hawaiian tiki thing. Sure. And we're all hanging out. The event's kind of done. I've been there way longer than I was supposed to because I'm like half drunk. And they get like burritos and stuff. And they get buying a burrito, which is very nice of them. Yeah. And nothing happened, but there was just like energy in the room. Like I was just like, are we about to start taking our clothes off? Like what's I mean, it was just, there was this energy, and like, I don't know, maybe something would be happening, but I wasn't there because I was like a stranger, you know? Yeah. So I was just like, man, there is something. And I've met a lot of people who said like the swinger culture and tea culture has a lot of overlap. And I was just like, I'm happily married and very monogamous. So
it's safer that way too.
No one asked me, propositioned me. I'm just saying there was an energy in the room.
I was restocking for the tasting room, and I was going through the grocery store, and this lady in the produce department stops me as I'm picking my pineapples off of the thing and trying to figure out, you know, how heavy it was and how golden it was, and you know whether it had any soft spots. And she says, "How do you pick your pineapples?" And I said, "Well, I'm looking to see how heavy it is, how soft it is, how golden it is." And I said, and then finally I said, if you can pull one of the leaves out easily, it's probably ready. And she goes, "Oh, that was the trick that I was wondering if you knew that trick." So I told this story to somebody at the tasting room. Apparently there's a group of people who turn pineapples upside down at the grocery store to see whether or not you're interested.
Oh,
I don't know, man. It's like, it's like one of those things where like there's always
urban legend.
All right.
Right. It's like I was like, oh, he's got a yellow handkerchief in his back pocket.
Oh yeah.
That means he's down. Like, okay. Like, or like, oh, he's got a dog statue that's sitting in his front lawn. That means he's an Aquarius. Like it just
that Rescue Me episode, they go to the fireman to do the calendar. They're debating about the handkerchiefs, which one they should wear. Oh my god! They get to some sign and like, we thought it meant this. He's like, I'm not into any of those things. I just thought it was a cool handkerchief.
That's a solid episode, though. Solid episode.
Absolutely, it's hysterically funny.
I've got pineapples.
Yes. I'll let Richard describe this because he had a great descriptor.
This is fresh cut. With the coconut, it's so more subtle on the nose and more present on the palate. One of the things that I heard somebody mentioning, I don't know whether it was a plantation or which company it was, but they were talking about dry rum. And I started thinking about dry Curacao. And I thought it was a really apt description. And I'm not sure whether it's going to take off because the rum's notorious. But This is so fruity and flavorful on the nose, and it is crisp and clean on the palate. It's the opposite of the coconut. And for some reason, mixing this up, it demands a little bit of spiciness as well. It would be really neat to mix this up as a classic daiquiri with either a habanero or a jalapeno. Jalapeno is a little bit green. Habaneros and probably a little bit more apt. But the first thing when I smelled this was, man, this has got to be a daiquiri or a margarita type of margarita.
I've got one of my wineries I belong to here makes a jalapeno wine. This with that wine and frozen would be amazing.
Is it Jackass?
Mm.
Did I just call you out? Wait, where are you again?
Me, I'm in Texas.
Yeah.
I'm near DFW.
Is near you?
So our buddy Donald's up in Canada. Strength involved. Alrighty then. Good to know.
Australians. We got some Australian friends. There might even be some in here.
Hang out.
Oh yeah, this everything that we have is pretty much worldwide. So yeah, that wouldn't be a surprise if some of our Aussie friends are in here right now. So we usually have a couple at least in here from Australia on a regular basis. Lots of our Canadian friends, and usually gets guys from the UK and stuff. It's pretty worldwide audience with us. I like it when we get our comments. Sometimes it'll be like in Russian. It's like, so I'll take it back and I'll go over to the Google Translate and translate it back to Russian for them, just because I think, it's a kind thing to do for them. They thought it was great. They did it back in Russian. It's like, sure, Google Translate works awesome.
So what do you think of the pineapple, Matt?
I like it. I think this would be it's really fun with the cocktails. Absolutely. But now I will say initially it's opening up. That one definitely can smell just from over here. Whereas the rest you kind of got to get into the glasses. Like, okay, that's definitely pineapple. It does remind me of those hard pineapple candies that you could get. I really like those a lot. So this is a fun one. But like you said, it's not that sugary mess. This just would be really nice in a cocktail.
Yeah. When I buy a pineapple, I process the whole thing on a cutting board.
That's what it exactly feels like.
Yeah.
I noticed smoked Hungarian peppers. Not sure I've had a Hungarian pepper, so I'm not sure I could answer that or not. But
yeah, I've had quite a few Hungarian peppers, and I've had them mostly in goulash.
Oh, I do love goulash. Goulash is delicious.
I used to work at a restaurant in the middle of Lake Ontario in the Thousand Islands. And it was the General Wolfe Island. It's in between Cape St. Vincent and Wolfville, Nova Scotia. You have to take a ferry over there. It's one of my first restaurant jobs ever. I got myself a little course in learning how to be a bartender. And, so I was bar back and wine steward, and man, I broke so many corks, and I don't know how they kept me there. They were so tolerant of a young kid just going in there, and it was their Hungarian goulash that I've been chasing for years. And recently I've been using tri-tip. It's a little cheaper. They were using trimmings from full.
Uh-oh. I think we lost Richard for a moment.
He's being very still right now.
Yeah. I'm sure he'll come back in a minute.
There we go.
Oh, there he is. He's back. Okay.
Just skipping.
It's goulash is great, though. Was this Polish or
actually Yugoslavian?
Yugoslavian, okay.
They were Yugoslavian. She was the head chef, and he was the front end. We did Caesar salads from scratch.
Wow.
Wooden bowl, crushing the garlic. Yeah, deboning the Dover sole. It was all presentation forward.
That's very cool.
Flambeing the cherries jubilee. Yeah,
nice.
It was quite elaborate. For a first job,
it's
one of the best.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. Yeah, that sounds very cool. Yeah, we're Bohemian, so we
Anyways,
love all Eastern European food.
yeah.
Anytime we can find that, it's like, yes, please. It's amazing. My wife is not, so she's like, why do you eat that weird shit? Because it tastes great. Just because we were over in Prague, and it's like, oh, they have liver soup and pig's blood soup. Yes, please. That would be great. She's like, that sounds disgusting. No, it's wonderful. It's like, I don't care. It tastes awesome. Wild boar is great. All that fun stuff. And other people turn our nose out, but I think it's fabulous.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is very nice. I have to make some things here soon, I think. So what kind of cocktails do you like to make with it, Richard?
Oh, goodness.
That's the real question, because I want to make some cocktails now.
We've been making rum runners, we've been making Mai Tais, we've been making at the liquor store. It's trying to keep it simple and easy.
Sure.
Different clientele. Like I said, they're the people that are coming into the liquor store. They're looking for a cocktail in a can, or they're looking for a bottle that they can pour on ice.
Sure.
And, it's an interesting conversation trying to get them to, well, you can do this at home. Like take fruit punch, and it's like any fruit punch recipe. And that's how I talk about Mai Tais, and that's how I talk about rum runners, and that's how I talk about all of those classic cocktails. And with rum, I think rum is the most versatile in terms of cocktail making and mixology.
Yeah.
It doesn't bring anything to the party.
Sure.
Flavored vodka, and what a lot of people are doing, it's vodka and juice, and there's some kind of stabilizers they're putting in there.
Yeah.
There's sugars that they're putting in there. Some of them are putting in artificial sweeteners in there. I really hope that sometime in the future we might get some some statements on them, like ingredient statements in the spirits, because that would really help. Why don't those eggnogs explode sitting out at room temperature? That's something that blows my mind.
Valid.
That's always weird, because I feel like Irish creams, I feel like they separate or something over time.
Oh, it gets. Oh, it's funny. We actually had a couple shorts come out that I found in the last couple of days in my room. 2 bottles of unopened Baileys. Yeah, they turned to like nasty pudding. It is not good.
So weird.
It's like yeah, they only shelf stable for so long.
There's it's interesting because I mean those definitely separate, right? So it's like there are some rumblings about nutrition labels being required for spirits at some point. My business partner thinks that the FDAs will start coming over the top of us at some point, and we'll have certain games.
That's what we need. Just another asshole government agency over us. Why?
Someone asked, I think was it Ben? Donald says, is a pineapple rum barreled? It is not. None of the flavors are barreled, just because we don't want to like obfuscate, whatever. We don't want to like muddle the taste of the actual flavoring, so we don't barrel age any of the flavors.
Okay. Would any of them go with blood orange or bergamot teas? He also wants to know. Which would you think could go well with that?
I've got a friend, and we've got a friend that runs an operation called the West China Tea Company.
Oh, yes, that's true.
And I was trying to get over there today. Apparently, he was closed today on my way over to Mueller, the Total Wine. And so I missed him again today. But I'm hoping that we might be able to do some kind of pairing or
that'd be cool.
With Sohan goes all the way to China, and he is the nerdiest China tea guy.
Yeah,
he has a special way of making his tea, and I have tasted amazing teas. Some of them taste like rice. And tea as a cultivar is really just one plant. And it's just the different ways that it's processed. And he's bringing in some amazing products. And we did a tasting with aged vodka and aged gin. And some really interesting pairings. I'd like to see what some of our rum pairings would be with his products as well.
Well, it's kind of interesting, right? Because like think back to bergamot tea and like the orange. And I've had enough rum to tea in my time. A lot of gin too. It's easy. But what's interesting is like, so if your tea is strong enough, like the white rum is fine because you have those vanilla notes and like kind of slide in a little bit, or if you drop, especially if you drop like honey in there or something. Yeah, obviously the orange would pair the same flavor, but then you might be overmaxing your orange. This depends on like how strong you want certain flavors to come out. But
Sure.
yeah, I think the whiter orange would be great.
Now I'm wondering whether the bergamot was trying to bait James to talk about, tea Earl Grey hot.
Earl Grey?
James,
You mean the best captain's tea?
yeah, there you go.
The best captains? You mean the millennial father figure for all of us?
Yes,
The giver of speeches?
Professor X.
Professor X. Dude, it's so funny. It's like, all right, never mind.
They're baiting you, James. They're baiting you.
I get so annoyed, man. Like, someone the other day, like, I mean, these are assholes on the internet, right? Not y'all, but like other people. Everyone here is great. Is like, people are like, Voyager sucks, so is DS9. I'm like, okay, that's like half of Star Trek.
Yeah.
Like seriously, like 7 seasons and like what, 9? Like, I mean, you're literally talking about like half the episodes of all Star Trek produced. You just hate it. Sorry, you don't like Star Trek. Like, you don't like Star Trek.
I liked watching it. It was interesting to watch, but I've never been the guy that knows every actor's name, every scene, every show, what the title of the show was. I have a friend, I don't know whether he was just like an idiot savant, but he's memorized the entire works of Shakespeare and everything Star Trek. Like, he was just one of these encyclopedic knowledge in his head. And it's like,
wow.
Yeah, like, why are you expending so many resources learning these things?
Well,
Who knows?
It's a fascination, right? Like,
Yeah.
it for a long time, because I worked at Total Wine for like a year, and I would take the wine like learning courses and stuff, and it was wouldn't stick. I just did not care.
Yeah.
And when I started caring more about wines, I was like making brandy and stuff. Then it started sticking better because I just didn't have like a reason to care.
Yeah.
And like in general, like I don't have an encyclopedic memory, but I would say that I know like every episode if we talk about it. But if you just throw the name at me, I'm like, I don't know what the name is.
Yeah.
So Ben Damien Hunter said, any good old traditional decent good great quality British gin? The answer is no. Actually, Sipsmith is very good.
Yes, that's good. I like that one.
But it's also very bold. I like Scottish gins, like I think Carroon's good. I like Hendrick's Summer Solstice is one of my favorites. Yeah.
You had Sazerac. You had his new gin.
Mm-mm.
That one's pretty good. The Sazerac's really nice. It's a new wild Scottish gin.
Monkey 47, whatever. So I haven't had Monkey 47, but it's just too expensive.
It is expensive. It is delicious though, but it is really expensive. It's the most expensive gin I'm sure I have by far.
It's just too much. Too many botanicals. I'm too stupid for that. It's like, it's like, okay, so I made gin for a while, and my gin was more in the range of Ken's channel. We do whiskey and Star Trek streams. I mean, I'll be a guest.
The Botanists are good. I do like the Botanist, yeah.
Well, Botanist is good. It was funny. I was in a liquor store years and years ago, and I was checking out the clearance section or something, and somebody was buying gin for her husband. And the store assistant comes up, hey, what's up? What's going on? And she's like, oh, my husband, he got a promotion. I want to buy him a gin. He usually likes Beefeaters. What should I get? And the guy's like, his suggestions were Botanist or Hendrick's. And I was like, did you just pull out 2 random gins out of your ass? Because it's like, it's both good. I like both of those.
Yeah.
It couldn't be more different.
No, right.
short of getting like a flavored gin or something.
Yeah.
But I just kind of piped up. I was like, hey, both great. Let's go for the
Oh yeah. Roku gin is good. Yeah.
Roku's good. Yeah, I dig Roku.
I still can't find the Antarctic one. I still want to try the Arctic gin that you got. And then Whitley and Neil, apparently my sister-in-law really, really loves that stuff. No, I think it's really good too. They have a lot of flavored ones, but they're fantastic from the UK. They make great stuff. But we can't find it here anymore.
There's an American
It's more a way of showing off like local botanicals, and you know, if you really want to get into that locavore type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's more interesting. There's a local company here in Texas. Lady's a botanist, and she's pulling out her own botanicals. She's bringing in local juniper brands. Yeah.
What brand is that?
No, it's I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, is it Wild Gin? Is that what the name of it?
I ran into her. I ran into like her sister.
Yeah.
At Tiki Tatsua, like randomly.
Right.
I was there with Steph, and I was there with Stephanie enjoying the experience. And I looked at the table next to me, and there's this woman and her friend sitting there. And I was like, hey, I'm sure she thought I was hitting on her. I was just like, I was not. I was like, hey, I like this because, you know, I'm in the industry. What do you think of this? Are you in the industry? And she's like, no, I'm just a random person, blah, blah, blah. And she was her opinion is whatever. Not whatever, but this not germane to the story. And then she's like, oh, my sister is a botanist. And I was like, she told me, I was like, holy crap, small world.
It really is.
Still, Austin has a gin. I actually tried it the other day.
Yeah, it's not bad.
It's interesting.
Rye.
One of my favorite gins is actually out of Michigan.
Which one?
It's Eastern Kill.
Never had that one.
They used to be called Gray Skies, but they changed their names because of trademark or whatever.
Oh, yeah, I like Vikra out of Duluth. Their stuff is amazing. It's one of the best gins I've ever had. My aunt loves Waterloo gin there from Treaty Oak.
I think it's so whatever. Sorry, Doreen.
I like Hatch gin. Theirs is real good out of Wisconsin. Of course, you know, I like Door County gin's pretty damn good. It's I like craft gin a lot. That's my favorite because it's just local botanicals and it's just better gin.
Yeah, you get cool with it. It's funny that you know, it's like what Richard was saying, like local war kind of thing. When I made my gin, I was like hibiscus, elderberry. It was nothing Texas. It was just like like what I wanted to see.
Yeah.
Hey.
And then I go back to my comfort zone, which is rhubarb and blueberry and strawberries.
Delicious. That's what I heard. It's delicious.
Yeah.
Those are amazing. Guys, have you had Whitley and Neil's rhubarb and ginger?
Yeah, that's my Nova
Scotia. That's very English. Because it's like rhubarb and ginger gins do really well in Great Britain, but I know they like suffer in America.
I think they're fabulous.
I haven't had one. I've heard about them, and I need to try them, but I haven't got to. Tanqueray 10, number 10.
That's a good one. I have a bottle. I've actually ever opened it though. It's in the other room.
To me, Tank's really good for tonic, just because it's like so strong.
Yeah, I might like Tanqueray. I mean, you've got that and the Rampur, I guess, whatever the other one starts with an R.
I did see something strange on the liquor store shelves a few years ago, where I think it was Beefeater had a couple different age proof statements that were you would look at a larger bottle and it would be 47. You look at another one, it'd be 43, and you look at another one, it'd be a different proof. And I thought maybe they were trying to create a premium proof item like what Bombay does with
Sapphire and stuff. Yeah,
different proof levels. But I'm not sure whether I'm going to have to go back and look at the shelves again and see whether that has settled out or whether because proof points with what was it, Makers 46? It was around the same time that they were thinking about dropping their proof.
Okay.
I remember that.
All this happened.
They lost their mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Grey Whale's interesting because Grey Whale's got that super salinity to it. That gin.
Never had it. Well, I remember Beefeaters. So what I enjoy about Beefeaters is like when I worked at Total Wine, I had various gins I was trying out, and I would come home after a long shift to be like 2 in the morning. I'd do my shower and like just like kind of, and to wind down because I've been throwing boxes all day, right? Because I was stocking, is I would have like a little glass of Beefeaters, just neat. And it wasn't super flavorful, but it was like it just relaxed me out.
Sure.
And I could sleep. And some other gins, the botanical blend, whatever it is, would give me like a headache. Not because it's poorly made as much as my body was having a weird reaction to like try Tanqueray or Palm Bay thing.
Shockingly, Seagram's gin's not bad. Especially the Seagram's lime's actually fairly decent for a cheap gin.
But one to say about Eastern Kills, their gin is barrel aged and hopped. And,
really? That's interesting. Can you get that here, or is that something you can only get up there?
I've only had it because I have friends who used to go to Michigan a lot.
Oh, okay.
But it's they have a clear gin, which like why mess with perfection? But
sure.
And it's funny because I'm not usually a proponent of barrel aged gins. That's why I was kind of making fun of the Waterloo a little bit. Not that I mean it's fine, but to me it's like I think the barrel needs to be used in certain circumstances. Like I definitely had, for example, like everyone likes like barrel aged stouts are great. However, I've definitely had barrel aged stouts where I feel like I took a shot of whiskey after I drank it.
Sure.
Like Dragon's Breath barrel aged, and it's not like a blending. It's just like, oh, these are 2 different flavors, just happen to be the same bottle.
Sure.
And I feel like a lot of barrel aged gins, you end up getting this effect where the barrel dominates, and then you end up getting like this very subdued gin with barrel, which can be okay. So St. George, I visited St. George Distillery in Alameda, California. I tried like freaking 20 products. I think they're trying to kill me. And
interesting place to say the least.
Yeah. And I enjoy myself. I really appreciate their hospitality and everything. And they had a barrel-aged rye-based gin. So instead of using like a neutral, they fermented still a rye.
Cool.
Did the botanicals on top of that, and they barrel-aged it. And I tried it, and I said to the tasting room manager, I was like, I feel like I need to drink more of this to like understand because there's so much going on.
Yeah.
And so I got a bottle, I took it home, and I tried it later. And my kind of takeaway, and this isn't bagging on them. I tried 19 products. I think I loved 17 of them. So like no bag on them.
Yeah.
Is it's not enough of either.
Okay.
Like it's an okay rye with some botanical notes. It's an okay gin with some rye notes and barrel. Like it wasn't a perfect marrying because like then when you tried using it, you're like, okay, if I mix this, a lot of the gin's just going to wash out or be masked out. If I make it old fat, it's just to me, I don't know if there's a perfect cocktail for it or not. That's how I feel about Antique. That's how I feel about Genius Liquids. They did a gin that was like French oak chip influenced, which is okay. That being said, I have a palate, a developed palate, like I could taste the difference between a chip and barrel, and
sure,
and it's just not the same.
Very good. Yeah, Drumshambo from Ireland, that is a good one too. I do like that gunpowder tea. That's good stuff. It's really nice.
Gunpowder is always so funny because like it sounds so cool. But it's like, well, what's gunpowder? It's like, oh, it's a green tea. It's like super mellow. It sounds like I'm gonna have some gunpowder.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's not good. I haven't had that one. It might be delicious.
Yeah, that one's pretty good actually. I like that one a lot.
I love gunpowders make good revolutions though.
You're right.
My favorite gin cocktail is probably the Negroni.
Yeah.
I'm a Negroni fan, but Negroni also a lot of the power of Negroni is from the Amiro as well. So
yeah,
so it's kind of a it's not. I don't know. It's like a perfect.
I have trouble with orange aperitifs. They just don't hit me right.
Okay.
Yeah, the Camparis and
not a fan.
Little rough. I actually pull them back. The 1-to-1 is just too rough with the Campari.
Yeah, that's why I like with like spritzers when it cuts enough of that bitter out with it.
I was
Nice.
trying to do some smoking with whiskey and make a Boulevardier smoked, and it just accentuated the Campari so harshly.
That's not good though.
Yeah, smoke and it's too much. But yeah, you live, you learn.
That's right. Do you guys still make your spice rum, or is that gone now?
We do not make anymore. What's funny enough is I actually have like a 15-gallon keg full of
Okay.
I made it, and it's just like, oh, we're done with this. I was like,
You're like,
so I
cool.
still have it. It's been sitting in the keg for like 2 years. It's really settled. Yeah, no, we don't make it anymore.
Okay.
I super enjoyed it, but the sales numbers just weren't
good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because like when we would have people come into our distillery and they would try like 6 different products, whatever, a lot of people would walk out the spiced rum, especially before we had the coconut.
Okay.
When we went to the store and we're just tasting against a bunch of everything in the world,
Sure.
people like it, but they would end up getting just whatever they thought their fancy, and people would. It's the whole thing about the comparison, right? Like,
Right.
you're in a distillery, you're tasting just a white rum, a dark rum, or whatever. People go, "Oh, a dark rum is way more flavorful." Well, it's a different product, right?
Right.
But when you're in a liquor store, you're there to buy a spiced rum today. You don't buy a spiced rum. I'm here to buy a coconut rum today. I'm here to buy a
Sure.
And so spiced rum just wasn't tracking and as much. And so we're like, all right. And we talked about it. It was funny. We were on a trip. We were actually in Nashville, and Steph was like, we're at like getting breakfast together. And she's like, oh, she kind of started slow pedaling me. She's like, well, the spiced rum, it's not doing well. I was like, let's cut it. And she's like, what? I was like, let's get rid of it. Let's move on. Like, I've made tons of special editions. I've made things like I used to have a smoky rum I made for a long time. I've made a lot of different stuff. I've made a gin I absolutely adore. But it's like that's not really what we do. And so move on, do things. I have 1,000,001 ideas. I'm working on a Noshino right now. Why I don't know. I'm just obsessed with the concept.
Okay.
It's just what Noshino is. It's an Italian liqueur, and it's essentially it's like black as night. It looks like you're drinking your enemy's souls. Like it's just like so dark, and it's essentially infused green walnuts. And
to look for that.
I don't know where you buy it, but so my mother-in-law has a walnut tree, several walnut trees actually, and she has one that's it has tons of nuts, but it's pointing the wrong direction off a hill. It was very hard to get nuts, but I harvested 7 pounds, and and so I had some spare alcohol that were like left over from experiments that I had to kind of neutralize to read still a lot, and so I was like, I'm gonna make this Noshino, and so I wanted to do it a year before, but I was too late in the harvest to do it. So I did it, and now I infused it for like 3 or 4 months, and now it's in a barrel. It's actually a barrel aged honey. And so now it's just it's in like just in the back of my distillery, and I have no plan for it beyond just the obsession of making it. So it's I just make things. And then
sometimes one of the things that I know about the people that I've been around and in the industry, they have a capacity of self-editing. It's like works doesn't work. And they have a line where it's like, this is working, this doesn't work. I admire that because a lot of times we love to smell our own farts.
Right.
And say, this is going great. This is the best thing ever. And when you made it and it's that IKEA furniture type of thing where it's like, okay, I couldn't find half the screws, or I put it together backwards and then I put it back together again differently. And finally I got the damn thing together. Look at my wonderful project with all the scrapes and scars and everything that I did. You pat yourself on the back and said, I accomplished something. But it's interesting to see the craft people that I've seen over the past 6 years that sit there and go, yeah, that's not working. And I think it's laudable, and it's one of those things is where you let your baby go.
Sure.
Yeah, it can be hard too. I mean, it's like one of those things where it's like when I make a lot of my stuff, it's like I try to invoke like a feeling or concept. And so it's like, oh, this art piece no one loved. Like, I've definitely gotten in my own head and made things that were like so out there that I thought were absolutely fantastic, but no one knew what to do with them. Like I made especially Lady G, and it's like this like saffron, wild cherry bark, and like just a couple other things, and it was just like this cordial that was so uniquely different.
Yeah.
It just like fell flat because people were like, oh, I don't know, like. And so in our flagships, we always keep that in mind. It's the one thing I kind of came to realization maybe like a long time ago was like I need to make a product that when you read the label you go, I have a concept of what that probably is, and when you try it, it's different enough or better enough, you're like, I won't buy this. There are so many people who make gins, like we talk about a lot of gin today, that make essentially beef eaters, or
it's not different,
super close, and they're just like, I'm craft or I'm local, and it's like I get that, but it's like I need a reason beyond you're a nice guy to like really buy this product. And so that's kind of like I meet a lot of people who make rum, or they have distilleries that they throw out a rum, and then it's just like you can tell that's not their passion. Like you can tell that they're whiskey makers. Like, oh, we're gonna make a rum, or like I know someone point out that still Austin has a gin now. Like, oh, we have a gin now. It's like, well, why do you have a gin? Like, you're still Austin. You make whiskey. Like, again, I don't care. Like, it's great. It's great. Whatever. But there's so many distilleries that you could tell that passion's not there, or the depth of knowledge isn't there. And so you end up kind of running into this problem of like, why buy this from you? I these two guys come up to me who are these moonshiners, and they're trying to go legal, and nice guys, and I like them a lot. And they're like, oh, we're gonna make a well whiskey, and they let us try it. It just tasted like nothing. It tasted like very similar to Florida Cognac. Maybe a touch better, but that's a matter of opinion. And I was just like, okay. And I didn't like bust their balls or anything, but I didn't know them that well. And so I happen to have a bottle of Florida Cognac with me, and I just put it in front of them, like, try this. I'm like, oh, ours is very similar to this. I'm like, okay, why are you making this? And they're like, well, it's a well rum. I'm like, okay, well, the only way, if your opinion is I'm gonna make something that tastes like nothing and sell as a well rum, let's sell it for $5. Like, and if you're going, or whatever it is, and if you're gonna be craft, like, good luck. Like,
you're not. It's just that seems pointless completely.
Yeah, it is pointless. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, I try to smell my own farts, like, but I endeavor at least. I would say I make better rum, but I at least endeavor to make better rum. That's all we can really do.
Absolutely.
That's what I love about this brand is that there is a different conversation. There's many conversations that are happening with this brand as to why this fits you. You're a craft cocktail person. This is why this fits you. You're trying to reduce the sugar in your diet. This is why this fits you. This is a brand that is local. It's Texas. It's one of a few American dark rums. This is why this fits you. This is how this fits in your bar. All of these conversations, it's a locally owned, it's a Hispanic woman. It's the first Hispanic woman in the United States to own and run a distillery with James at her side. So that gets us in the door, but it's the product and the way that it tastes and how it mixes with other people trying to figure out how this fits behind their bar. That's the conversation that we're having every single day. And whether it's in the liquor store, whether it's in a bar or a hotel or a resort, we're trying to show people this product is actually a good craft product. And I think, James and Stephanie made some really tough decisions.
Sure.
Really, close the tasting room. Like,
that's what I heard.
Visit your tasting room. It's closed. Well, how long is it going to be closed for? We're leaning into production.
That's always,
forever.
Yeah.
But,
we've got to figure this stuff out. Like, what are we doing and how are we doing it?
Yeah.
And I think with 5 core range products that speak to the craft bartender and they speak to the everyday consumer, where they're coming back and buying another bottle.
Right.
It's a no-brainer. We've got so many activations that are just piled up, opportunities sitting in front of us that we're just waiting for the finances to be able to get to Las Vegas and activate Caesar's MGM. We've just opened up in casinos throughout Louisiana and over on the Texas border where all of the fun is happening in Eagle Pass. And we're inside, I know, but we're inside of bars and restaurants. Hula Huts just took us over as their main rum inside of Hula Hut. We're inside of the Lost Pines at the Hyatt. There's Hyatt Lost Pines out there in Bastrop. We are making so many strides, and we're at that point where it's like, James, you need new production.
I need you to make more of this. Yeah. See, I remember as a kid, we went to the Dominican Republic, and when you got off the airplane, they handed you rum. And I thought it was the greatest thing, especially at 16. That was the greatest thing in the world. That's what you need to do. People get off the airplane at Austin or at DFW, just start handing you guys rum. It's a solid marketing plan. Put it in their mouths. Like, is it great? Especially the international flights, and they come in.
We were really good for you guys. We were just given permission to go with Aramark, so maybe that might happen.
That'd be awesome. Very cool.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So what else does anybody else know about you guys, Brand, or any other fun things you want to tell people?
I'm tired.
You can also do that too.
It is a late start.
It is, yeah. Does anyone else have any questions in the comments, or we'll sit here and chat in the afterground when we're done here for a few minutes and let you guys go if that works for you guys. We can do that too.
Totally.
Well, I'm looking at chat. I said that sounds like craft whiskey and whiskey. I don't understand that. Maybe it's something I said. Check out.
Thanks, Independent Joe. Appreciate that. Definitely check out
that solid chair.
So all that good stuff. Yeah. So let's see what we got coming out. So we have the Traveler whiskey is going to get released tomorrow. The Fraser and Thompson on Thursday, and Pink Gin from Bitter Truth will be Saturdays. Other spirit for the week. So the usual.
How's your Whiskey Castle going?
It's good. They actually made a bunch of progress today, so I was happy. They pretty much finished cleaning. They stained the castle door today. Put some of the curtains up. They got the shelf behind the bar. They lacquered the bar today. So we made good progress today, actually. So we're hoping to be open in a couple of weeks for at least a soft opening, and then hopefully some kind of a semi-grand opening around the 17th on that President's Day weekend.
Is this a bar, restaurant, local hangout?
Yeah, it's a educational whiskey tasting facility. We're a school, essentially.
Okay.
Except for we really cater to corporate, bachelor parties, just things for team building, and also to bartenders and stuff to teach them how to sell their own products. That it's bad when you walk in the bar. What's your favorite thing? Kentucky Deluxe. No, that's not the right answer. You are not going to get good tips that way. You have to put other answers than that. So things like that to teach people how to actually sell their products and stuff like that. So we built the tasting bar in there specifically to simulate a bar that you're working at, so that you can actually do this. So, but yeah, and then we'll also bring in distillers and things like that, usually once a month, and just do fun things like that. As we've got a lot of good connections. We'd love to have you guys in at some point too, and come do an event with everybody. Usually put 50, 60 people in front of you and get them to come learn about you guys. So
Teaching brand ambassadors is actually something that I see in the field that needs to be done.
Mhm.
There are a lot of people out there that are, I know enough to be dangerous.
Right.
And there are enough brand ambassadors. Like I was talking to one girl recently. She said, I don't like doing Scotch tastings because, those guys know too much about the product. Yeah. I can't
Maybe you should learn more than
go with them. And then there's the ones that are basically on their phone and they're just there to be
worst.
Yeah.
I'm like, because I'll ask some questions. They don't know anything. I'm like, I gotta go. I can't have time for this.
Yeah.
I would love to share one story about negative attitude towards people who are enthused about whiskey.
Yeah.
I had a guy show up my distillery one time, and he owns a whiskey brand, and he didn't even, I didn't know him or anything. He was just like walking around my property. I was like, what are you doing? So what's going on, dude? And he's like, oh, I'm just looking. I'm like, well, I own this place. What's going on? And he starts talking to me about, so he comes in, I invite him in and talk a little bit. And he has some whiskey brand where they put like a stick in the bottle and like claim it's aged on a shelf. And I'm like, that's not how that works. But at some point he's like, oh, these whiskey nerds, they're always asking for my mash bill. And, why be nerds? Like, just try it. If you like it, buy it. And I was just like, you're talking to someone who is enthused about what you're selling,
right?
And you're, instead of like having an answer for them, you're being mean.
Yeah,
like I can't fathom that point of view.
And
he owned the brand. Like, he wasn't even like, he was like some random taster who got one paragraph to read before they got there.
Sure.
So yeah, I don't know. I couldn't stomach that. I was just like, dude, that's not like, if someone asked me like about rum, I'm like, yeah, you have 30 minutes, an hour, let me cheat your ear off.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's too bad. I'll ask you who that is after we're done. I got a good idea.
I can't remember. If I saw the bottle, I wouldn't remember, but
it's a blur.
Yeah, I got a real good idea who this is. Well, like I said, I'll ask you after we're done here in a second. So,
cheers.
All right, everybody. We'll see you guys next week. We'll hang out for a few minutes on the other side. So, cheers, everybody. Thanks for being here. Really appreciate it. And great rum, guys. Go check it out. Buy Ashton bottles and make some fun cocktails. Cheers. All right, and this
savage.